Welcome, everybody, to the Darkmatch for TNA Impact this week. I am your foxy friend, Backlash.
This is Symphonian.
I'm Mr. War Machine.
Magpie here, as always.
And because Iron Sheik has not really been that active on Twitter lately, and most of his stuff has been, sickeningly happy, this time we are doing What is Samoa Joe Tweeting?
Ordering Chinese axe gang hatchets in case I decide to start up a kung fu production company. At least, that's my story.
I still say it's way more entertaining than whatever's going to be on Impact from him.
Certainly.
Right on.
And because of Matt Hardy's current announcement of his engagement, we'd also like to give some wedding advice or marriage advice to his fiancée, Reba Sky. And
I would like to go first.
Yeah, go ahead. I know what you're going to
do. Damn right. Bring a bunch of grapes.
My advice, just don't, honey. Just don't.
My advice, personally, when you divorce him in 5 months, take half his shit and come over to my house.
My advice, have your physician on standby at all times because I think Matt is in the future going to be very, very how do I put this? What's a nice way of putting inebriated?
Incapacitated via chemical means?
Pathetic.
I'll go with that. So let's just get to Impact before we drive ourselves crazy with this.
The nightmare begins.
Oh, yes. We start with a video package that is the most horrifyingly just... I actually had to listen to this again. They auto-tuned this promo, and it just sounded like... It sounded like it was... Oh, my God.
It made Kasha look good. That's how bad it was.
I call this the T-Pain opening to Impact, so... it was better than the usual openings, in my opinion, but that's not really meeting a very high bar.
And the promo is basically everything they've been recapping over the week. It's Ken Anderson and Hulk Hogan, and the word asshole used at least 1 million times.
Wait. Who wants to guess how many times it was used?
37.
16.
I'm going to say 587.
What a strangely specific guess, but 16 is in fact correct. I was surprised.
How did you know?
Gee, I wonder.
It's almost like you read that on the internet.
It's almost like it was a second take.
God damn it. Third take. We're starting this thing over.
All right. Okay. We're driving no leaf insane. All right. So after the video package, we have Anderson to come out to talk because we can't begin with wrestling. No. We have to talk. That's the important thing we got to know. And he comes out with this chubby guy who is said to be Dr. Schubert from the University of Wisconsin.
He looked like a rejected version of that guy from Frank TV. Just like a rejected version of that dude.
Yeah.
I just have to wonder, they said he's one of the greatest mathematicians ever from Wisconsin. Does Wisconsin produce any good mathematicians? I guess they sort of just ballparked how many lakes there are there, and that's about as good as they get.
Well done. And so what happens is Anderson starts just talking about how he never paid attention in Dr. Schubert's classes. I'm just going to call him Dr. Schubert because he looks like he eats a lot of it. And he was busy planning to screw the girl who sat next to him. He says that Hogan and Bischoff's math isn't up to par, so he brought Dr. Schubert out to verify his math. Last week he was in a match with one Reefer Van Dam, his words, and they pinned each other at the same time. How? Okay, can we stop for a second? How the fuck does that work?
The double DQ?
It doesn't.
Would someone like to...
It was a double pinfall. They both got counted 1, 2, 3.
Well, the ref is retarded because they weren't even touching each other.
Right.
I want to take Vince Russo's head and put it in between my hands and then smash it together and see if he gets any smarter after I do that. Because at this rate, he can't get stupider. Damn it, I just jinxed TNA. Fuck.
Russo won't get any stupider, or Russo won't get any smarter, but TNA will.
Ugh.
On July 13th, TNA became self-aware.
But
And
I have to say, I'm really disappointed with this math bit. You have a bit with some sketchy math, and we find out later on that Scott Steiner is in the building. Why is Scott Steiner not involved?
Because he was too busy talking about how Iwo Jima bombed the Germans.
But Scott Steiner's a perfect polymath. He's a master of history and math. If they have a mathematician in there, they should have Scott Steiner go to that ring and challenge him to a math off.
Scott Steiner can make sense of any math equation at this point. Exactly. He can take the most backwards equation and just for a moment it'll be perfect.
And then we think about it, and it was kind of stupid. So, anyways, he starts talking about how 3 and 3 makes 6, and add the fact that he never got his rematch for the TNA World Title. You'd just be facing Jeff Hardy, you fucking moron. Anyways, and add to the 3 count that it makes Anderson wants his freaking match. Does this sound familiar to anyone? If I had to use it in just one syllable words, it reminds me of something. Me want a title match. I don't know. Is that just me?
It feels like they've been doing this angle for like 5 years. I know it's probably only been maybe
2.5 months at this point.
2.5 months they've been doing it, but it feels like it's been 5 years because TNA just loves to do this thing where you never know who the number one contender is. They always got to keep you guessing. And when it all comes down to it, they're just like, oh, everyone's number one contender because that's what they're going for.
TNA wouldn't even tell you who the champion was if they could get away with it.
Yeah, and the sad thing is they can have a rotation of guys going for the world title contendership if they just presented each and every member of their roster. If they presented them as credible and remarkable wrestlers, which some of the TNA talent are, you can have a wonderful rotation of wrestlers going for that title. They don't all have to win, but you can have a strong champion who defeats all these people and a strong roster, thus making your entire promotion look good. But we don't get that.
Oh, Magpie, excuse me. Jeremy Porash called. He said he wants your whole family to die.
Oh, tell him I don't give a shit.
I'm sick of this garbage. It was fine when they did it with Jeff Hardy and Kurt Angle because at least the matches were good. These matches have sucked so hard, it makes Ric Flair jealous. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. So I'm not, and we're going to move on.
Yes.
Sherbert agrees that he ought to get his rematch, and Anderson is about to let him go. But then he brings him back to talk more about the girl he wanted to nail, and that Sherbert didn't like him flirting with her because he wanted to nail her. Why are we still on this? And
I don't know.
Because he's an asshole.
And she told him that Sherbert told her that Anderson was gay.
Who cares? What does this have to do with anything?
It's just watching this entire awful opening segment reminded me like 3 weeks ago when he won the world title and he gave that promo about they never used me right in the WWE. I never got a shot. I'm like, and then you watch this promo, fast forward to this promo, and you're like, would you make that speech now? Yeah, they didn't use you, and they used you improperly in WWE. Ooh, I feel bad for you. Well, go talk to the professor.
Anderson's the kind of guy who can bitch that the sky is blue. If he's not getting his way, he'll just cry to whoever will listen.
This whole Impact was Anderson crying. The entire thing was Anderson crying.
And how long did it take before we even got to a match? I think we counted it was like 17 minutes before we even got to a match.
33 minutes.
That's kind of commercial?
That is including the commercials.
That's actually above average for TNA. This was an above average Impact, and it still hurt.
Let's move on. Sherbert admits that he called Anderson gay, and Anderson says it's okay because he's 35 and he's a grown man, but he sure doesn't act like it. But he says he wants to act out a fantasy of his own, and leave his teacher with something to remember him by. This is sounding really homoerotic. He asks Sherbert if he knows why he would do that. Can anyone guess what's coming next?
I don't know. Is he maybe going to give him a mic check?
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about what Sherbert's going to say next. Would you like to venture a guess? I'll give you 3 choices. 1, because you're an upstanding citizen. 2, because you're an asshole. Or 3, because you're an asshole. Or 4, 2, and 3. And if you pick 2 and 3, no shit! Anderson responds with bingo and gives him a mic check. I wanted to shoot myself when this was over.
And he doesn't roll out of the wing after taking the mic check and just get out of the way or get carried off. No, he's down the entire time.
And Anderson takes the Captain Morgan position atop him.
Oh. I guess that's what he does with all his conquests.
So the guy's laying there for the entirety of the rest of the segment because we're only half done. Because now it's time for Hogan to come out and bitch at Anderson because he is, wait for it, an asshole!
Hulk Hogan comes out and Jimi Hendrix rolls in his grave. And...
But of course, Sirius Bischoff is serious.
Yes, precisely. Bischoff says he doesn't know what Hulk Hogan sees in Anderson because
Hang on. You forgot something. What happened on their way to the ring?
The signs. Yes.
The signs, yes, the signs.
Oh, yes. The signs. The plants in the crowd started giving out signs, and they were certainly roses this evening.
Oh. I have to say, go ahead. After you.
Hello?
What happened? Nothing happened. Just keep going. I'll be right back.
Where were we?
So two fan plants hand signs over to Hogan and Bischoff, and they make sure to get a good close up on him. One of them says Bischoff is a genius, and did anyone catch the Hogan one?
I didn't catch the Hogan.
Is wrestling, I believe.
I didn't catch that effect. It said Hulk is wrestling? No fucking way.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
My brain
They pose for the camera, and then they hand them back to the wrong people. And continue their way down to the ring.
I just love how, I know they're plants, but you think if they're plants, but hired by the company, and you think they put more effort into the signs. It was awful. If you're going to make a sign and make it believable, use good markers, throw some sparkly stuff on it. I don't care. Make the sign at least somewhat some employee in the back of it.
Okay. So Hogan and Bischoff make it into the ring, and they start talking about the network again. Yes. And that Bischoff says that the network doesn't like him because Anderson is setting a bad example for the kids and for all wrestling fans everywhere. And because if kids are going to start slamming their teachers because they don't like what they're saying. This hurts.
It very much hurt.
Oh my God. Where do we even begin with this?
I don't know. This network angle is stupid. I have an idea of where they're going with it, but I'm not sure they do.
It's kind of like they're trying to take what worked in ECW when they did the network angle. Of course, ECW had Paul Heyman, so it was 1,000 times better. But it seems like they're trying to rip that off, but they got everything that was good about that angle wrong.
Well, ECW had Cyrus, and he represented the network, and he made it better because he was such... We hated Cyrus.
Right.
I have to say, I can never not think of Con Air when I hear that.
Con Air, con shit. Moving on, though.
Right.
Con Air, Nicolas Cage.
So then we have... Bischoff tells that Anderson is just being a bad example, and that Hogan gets angry because Anderson has been backstage breaking rules and throwing temper tantrums.
Gee, I wonder who he's imitating. So close, Boston.
Couldn't be more transparent if the man were made of glass. And Hogan says that Anderson will get no rematch because he has a rematch contract, but it was signed by Dixie Carter. And that means precisely nothing, brother.
So that means he's not employed. God.
It's TNA. Logic doesn't exist within these realms.
Yeah. So,
anyway, moving on from this.
He says that you know what, though? I tried to deal with you last week, and that didn't go. So I'm going to try and make another deal with you, brother. And then he sets up another number one contendership match for later with RVD. Although I should mention that Hogan calls him DVR, perhaps warning us that we should just fast forward over these segments. Maybe he's trying to help us in secret. I don't know.
Hogan, help us? I kind of doubt that. No.
I still think they were sent there as spies by Vince McMahon to sabotage TNA even further.
Hogan's not that smart enough to make a deal with Vince. He'd be like, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to sabotage him on my own terms.
Well, he's doing a pretty damn good job.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And while we're on the subject of RVD, this not 5 minutes ago did Hogan say Ken Anderson is setting a bad example for all the little kids. Meanwhile, they're putting their stock in a guy who's been arrested multiple times for drug use. So this is the message they're trying to send to kids. Don't run around calling people assholes. Do drugs instead.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Wow.
So, as soon as the number one contender match has been announced, RVD's music hits, but we don't get to hear from RVD yet. We go to commercial mid-promo. Oh, yeah.
RVD's music courtesy of the NES.
Oh, boy. Anyways, after commercial. Yeah, go ahead.
We return from commercial, and RVD is talking about that he deserves the title shot, that Hogan brought him into the company and believed in him. And, you know, he came into the company because he'd been sitting at home. He was burnt out on politics. Politics is a new name for that on my account. Anyone else? He was burnt out on something.
Hey-o.
We then get a Russo name drop as one of the people who tried to get RVD into the company. But when Hogan called, RVD answered.
Well, I think if Vince Russo called anybody in the wrestling business, it would just it's like, hello? Hi, Vince Russo. Immediate hang up.
Yeah.
I got to agree.
Wow.
No argument.
Nope,
no argument.
Absolutely not.
Oh, and then if this promo hasn't gone on long enough yet, Sting comes out.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It just does this.
No.
And he's toting with him that awful new belt, which, why did they invest money, whatever great sum or low sum it was, why invest money into a new title belt when Eric Young has a perfectly good title belt?
I have a theory for that, but we're going to have to get back to it.
Okay.
I have a theory for that later. But he says that, you know, RVD wasn't the only one getting phone calls. Sting's getting phone calls from the network. said that he's going to be the special enforcer for the number one contenders match. And I'll be quoting here. If anything out of the ordinary happens, no hit there whatsoever. I'm in control. Me, I'm in control.
Mwahahaha.
That's the only thing that was missing.
I'd like to wonder if Bischoff and Hogan actually verified this with the network, because that says to me that in TNA, if you want anything done, just come to the ring and say, the network says I can do this. Like, anyone can come out and say, hey, the network says I get a title shot tonight. And then, bam, you've got a title shot. And
then also, it's like, the Backlash, good point, but to go further into a tangent on that one, it's like, in the story you're setting up, you don't really have any authority figure set up. Is Hogan in charge? Is Dixie in charge? Is the network in charge? Who the fuck's making these matches?
The network is going to turn out to be Dixie.
Ugh, I can see, the bad thing is, it's like I can shrug that off, but it most likely will happen.
I near guarantee that's what it is. It's...
Yeah, Dixie got a job at Spike.
I can see it on the horizon, and it makes me want to cry.
Apparently she needed to get a job because, that oil money wasn't carrying her far enough, I suppose.
It's moments like that in Revelations. It's like, I honestly want, like Jim Cornette said, I want Bob Carter to go to that impact zone, rush the ring, and beat the shit out of everybody with a bat that moves, screaming at the top of his lungs, is this what you're doing with my money? Is this what you're doing with my money? And then he caves in Bischoff's head with a bat.
That was a little violent.
That'll get more ratings than an episode of Impact.
Hey, they like blood. I'm just suggesting an angle that would work.
Okay, so after Sting, we go back to commercial.
Again.
And we return to a... hurt and will be out indefinitely.
You were cutting out for a bit there.
Oh. Sorry about that. But, again, apparently AJ Styles is hurt indefinitely, and we can't tell when he's going to be back.
And they just booked him as a leader of Fortune who's going to be the heroes and saviors against Immortal. And then now he's injured? What the fuck?
I freaking called it. I knew that the second they did that whole bullshit production last week, I'm like, this is it. This is their excuse to take AJ Styles off of fucking television for months or whatever. They just, I think they enjoy this. I think they enjoy just taking everything we like, every little saving grace we have about this show, and just taking it in the palm of their hands, and then crushing it, and then throwing it into the garbage.
It's
and
a good
laughing
point.
and laughing and laughing and laughing. Oh my God! Why are we watching this?
Backlash, come here. Just come here. It's okay.
Let it out, man. Let it out.
It's okay. It's
Have
okay.
some of Hardy's pain pills. They'll help.
But just don't try to...
It's like we can't even... Backlash has a point, though. It's like we can't even invest our time into into something we're excited for, because when something cool happens, or remotely cool happens, we can't even say, like, hey, that's going to be awesome, because we know they're going to fuck it up. I'm not going to spoil what's going to happen next week, but I'm not excited for it. I love the guy, but I know they're going to fuck that up somehow.
It's TNA. It's going to be fucked up. Alright, so...
AJ's
after
out.
we have that recap of AJ that dashes our hopes and dreams, we start to posture for the first actual match of the evening, and we get hardcore country.
And let me just say, this match was look at that theme is awful, but that match was the only saving grace of tonight's Impact.
Now, we can't get to the match yet, because after Mickey gets into the ring, it's not time for the match. It's time for another promo.
He did do that.
At first, when they cut back there, I thought Madison Rayne was naked. So here's automatically what went into my mind. Oh my God, this is my big payoff. This is what I'm finally getting what I deserve for watching this piece of crap week in and week out. I'm going to see Madison Rayne naked. Yes. and it turned out he was in the top. I was like, no! God, no! But that's not when I broke. We'll get to when I broke.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yes. And Madison is telling Tara that she needs to do whatever it's going to take to beat Mickey or else. And I just have to say that I love Madison's response to when Tara asks what or else it was. She just says, "This isn't a classroom. Don't ask me questions. Go out there and do your job."
Yeah, because Madison Rae can apparently beat up Tara. Oh, wow.
And it was really interesting because you could see Tara's face shift. Like, that was the moment she found out she was going to lose the match, when she heard the word job. She's like, job? And then she stares off into space for a half second, and then she just kind of gets back into character. Oh. And then they end the promo with a Charlie Sheen reference.
Because referencing Charlie Sheen is cool.
I just...
Too much tiger blood there, War Machine?
You know what? Tag team partner, don't screw with me right now. I'm in a very volatile state of mind. Let's just move on with the good women's wrestling match.
Yes,
Yes,
probably the best moment of the night. And normally I'd say it's really bad when the best match of the night is a knockouts match, but no, they let the two best knockouts that they currently have employed go out there and have a really good match.
Everything was fluent. It was
match
just,
I've seen in quite some time.
it was fluent. You can tell they really tried to work out the details in the back of what they wanted to do. It was a really good match. Especially, and there were some surprise moves that they pulled off.
Yeah, I think I have a couple of ones that were particularly good. There was a really nice standing moonsault from Tara.
Take that, Eve.
And she pulled it off far better than Eve ever does.
Well, the thing with Eve is she just does the move. With Tara, she actually knows how to do a moonsault and to make it impactful.
Yeah. And then there was a Boston Crab that was actually surprisingly convincing. Rarely see that out of the knockouts. And
Yeah.
And it sucks we have to say that because the knockout division used to be awesome.
Right. And the match ends with an enormous DDT from Mickey. And Tara sells it like absolute death in the ring.
And it was the first time in a while I actually cheered for something that was on Impact. That wasn't an up-close shot of Velvet Sky's ass.
Give me a moment.
It's okay, Soul Hacker. Just breathe, relax. Remember you're the best.
Who the hell is Soul Hacker?
Dun, dun, dun.
Sir? Call me Soul Hacker, sir?
I didn't call you Soul Hacker.
You call me Soul Hacker? We're doing Mortal Kombat over this. It's
on. Okay.
Someone get Matthew on the phone.
Like Donkey Kong, my brother.
Right.
And this was a fantastic match. And, I don't really like Mickie James all that much. Blasphemy, I know. But this was a very good match. Very, very good match.
This, if you're anybody watching TNA who books, that's what we want to see. No gimmicks, no bullshit, two good wrestlers in the ring, give them a good amount of time, put on a match. That's all we want.
A clean finish. Oh my God, a clean finish.
That's all we want.
Oh.
So next disappointment after this awesome match.
We move into another promo because, of course, we can't wrestle more. We have to bring us down from that wonderful match. And it's Anderson coming across Sting in the back, and Anderson is angry and whining. And I have to comment again. Even for TNA, this promo is terribly shot. It's got half their heads cut off. It's really awful. But I have to say that Anderson raises a legitimate complaint here that Sting has to have a good idea who the network is because they keep contacting him, but he's not saying anything to anyone.
So it's like they, but with the network and more pathetic.
Oh, you can't get more pathetic with they. They tried to do that crap twice, and it still failed.
I think they're trying again, this time with the network.
At least this time no one's getting kidnapped and tortured. Oh, wait, we'll get there, too.
I think this is Russo's next copyright. He's already copyrighted the Swerve. Now he's going to copyright they.
Okay, and speaking of torture, this is what we see for the next 2 minutes. We see a recap of Pope torturing Okado from last week.
AKA an Asian man in the events of the tsunami. Russo, what are you doing? Stop it!
Sensitivity training, man. Sensitivity.
Arnold commands you to stop it. I get his apparent xenophobia because it's frequently on display. But
very much.
He can't have 1 ounce of sensitivity. Is nothing sacred?
Well, no, just look up how he does stereotypes every time he does booking. I mean, the bisexual character, not somewhat of a bad concept because you could have had a good stand-up character that somebody in the gay or bisexual community could look up to and be like, hey, that guy's awesome. But no, they had to make him a fucking stereotype in the worst possible way.
Yeah. By the way, I haven't watched TNA for near as long as probably most of you, but I didn't know that Joe apparently either speaks or understands Japanese, because Okado apparently doesn't speak English.
Well, Joe's been wrestling in Japan for like a long period of time, so I wouldn't be surprised if he picked up the language, or at least enough to get by.
I'd just never seen that on screen before. I was not certain that that was part of his character. Apparently, yes.
You can't expect TNA to establish something like that on TV.
Oh,
and we don't care about Joe's. We don't care. I'm going on a tangent. TNA, we do not care about Joe's sidekick. We want to see Samoa Joe get in there and kick ass. That's your workhorse. That's your guy. This is the guy you should be having match of the year qualities with. I mean, 2005, Samoa Joe was undefeated. It was great. Before that, when his days in his day in ROH, we know he can kick ass. Just have him go out there and whoop ass. That's what we want to see Samoa Joe do, not get involved in some plotline that's stupid with a guy's involving a guy whose career you killed by having him in your inferior promotion.
That's the problem with a guy like Joe. Like 2005, he was undefeated. We've been over it a million times. How long can they keep that up? But
no, I don't mind.
They have handled this in the worst possible way.
That's fine. If they want him to lose to somebody, that's fine. But have Joe be presented as a credible threat. That guy is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and we don't get to see that because of the way he's being presented on the show.
And that's actually less of a problem with how they're doing Joe himself as what they're doing with this feud. Because they've stuck him with Pope, and Pope is playing the ultra cowardly heel, able to run away at a moment's notice, they aren't really having those excellent matches, and I think that's more of what that problem is.
Well, yeah, if they were having a series of matches or brawls in the backstage or something where it could be like, hey, I care about this feud. I want to see Pope get his ass kicked, or I want to see Joe succeed, but we're not presented with any reason to care.
It wouldn't care if they did that anyways, because they do that with everybody. They always do the backstage brawls and the trading words. Wrestling isn't exactly, how do I put this? There's new things you can put into wrestling, but a lot of what they do is old things that they just present in a different way. In TNA, they present the exact same thing the exact same way every time. And that's why we don't care, because they do the same thing over and 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 over again until we are so sick of it that we stand where we are now, where TNA is by far considered the second worst. Is CZW in America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second worst wrestling promotion in America.
Burn.
I honestly think they're trying to surpass that. I'm thinking, like, okay, if we're going to suck at this, let's be the best at sucking. If that's what they're trying to go for, I'll give them a little bit of respect for that. At least they're trying to accomplish something.
I would love to see the mission statement for TNA. We aim to put out crap.
When in doubt, think of Ric Flair and Bruiser Brody.
Hey-o!
Suck and suck hard.
All right, we've stalled long enough.
Okay,
we're at the second match. Okado versus the Pope.
Ooh.
Another colossal waste of time brought to you by TNA.
it was a waste, but it didn't. It looked like it almost had promise. TNA almost got my hopes up. Almost.
Again, you've just perfectly said what I just said before. We can get excited for something, or have a promise in it, or see something in it, and they're going to fuck it up.
If I'm not mistaken, this was Okado's first match on Impact. Am I right?
I think so.
I can't remember him having wrestled on Impact before. I
know
he's
he's been
on Explosion.
I know he's been on Explosion, but nobody fucking watches Explosion.
Because it's only in the UK.
What's Explosion?
Exactly.
This was their big chance to actually make him look like a credible wrestler, to look like someone who could hang with Joe. And what did they do?
They made him go out there, look timid and nervous, and have a terrible match.
He got his ass whooped the whole damn time.
He has now become Maria when she first started wrestling. Like, she was under the tutelage of whoever it was, and she always looked timid and nervous, and she always got the crap beat out of her until the person who was tutoring her came in and saved her butt. This is terrible. This is not good. God. Let's move on.
I have to say something. TNA was talking over the match, as they tend to do, and they were talking about the Joe Pope match coming up at Lockdown, and I thought I heard something that just I didn't know what to do. This is one of the reasons I had to go rewatch this show to find out what the hell he was talking about here. Originally, I thought he was saying it's the streak versus the submission, and I raged hard at that.
Submission what?
Yeah, they said that the match at Lockdown between Pope and Joe was going to be the streak versus the submission.
What streak? What
That's
streak?
what I thought. That's what I thought at first.
Streak. There is a streak of no kind.
I'm like, that reminds me of another important streak happening at a nearby pay-per-view. I think it might be important, but I can't remember it offhand.
TNA got me so riled up, I punched my microphone. Do they understand what they're doing to me?
But it turns out that instead they're talking about the street. The street. Has Pope ever been known as the street before? Ever?
No.
Okay.
He's
They're actively trying to tease us with something that's far better.
I want evidence that the Pope is from the street. I want evidence that he grew up in a rough neighborhood. Because until I get evidence, he grew up in the whitest part of Arizona that exists. I don't care what anyone says. He's
so down
white.
The street from Spoonie. Got it.
Oh. All right. That's enough of that.
So the match ends when Pope takes off his glove and hits Okada with a bunch of rings. Knocks his ass out, followed by him assaulting the ref.
Why? What was the point? If you just wanted a squash match, why not send out not even EY? Why not send out Orlando Jordan or one of the members of Inc. Someone who deserves to be squashed, not frickin' the guy who hangs out with Samoa Joe, who so far has proved that he is nothing like Samoa Joe, therefore Samoa Joe must like him.
I'd like to say TNA logic here, but oh, fuck it.
It's like after Victory Road, the TNA logic just went out the window, and now it just sunk to this whole abyss of things of awfulness that we can't even really properly describe. We have to actually invent new words to describe what it is or how this logic
gets to frickin' abyss.
This is no longer even TNA logic. TNA logic is gone. This is pure, unprotected Russo logic. That is all that is left of this show.
Okay. It's this once prominent wrestling program who was this close to becoming the number 2 in America. It had great wrestling, okay stories, and it had one angle that was going for it. And then all of a sudden, it started getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Does this sound familiar to anyone else?
I don't know.
Almost. It's something
like,
10 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I think it was based in Atlanta, or it was a Southern promotion.
It'll come to us later.
But and that sucks too. I mean, I remember TNA when they had matches they used to have matches. They used to always have a match that was at least somewhat of a match of the year candidate. Or the storylines weren't that good, but at least the wrestling was kick-ass. The wrestlers believed what they wanted to do, and they risked their lives on scaffolding and did amazing things that we didn't see on the WWE. And then it's like, damn, to see them just disintegrate into what it has become now. Ugh.
Let's move on before I go crazy.
Real quick, this next commercial break starred a WWE All-Stars commercial, which I love.
Oh, joy.
Let's advertise the other guys.
Yeah.
By the
Let's
way,
advertise some matches that would be interesting to watch.
By the way, I played the demo of that game on Xbox Live. It is balls hard. My God. Like, it's not like SmackDown versus Raw in the sense that it's, you can take a wrestler's size advantage and speed advantage and kind of gauge it that way. Oh no. Everyone is equally as roided up. Everyone is equally as, high-flying crazy with their moves. It's like what people, I don't even really know how to describe it. It's just the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I see in the commercials they have Andre the Giant flying through the air. When you have that, you fucked up. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah,
It's like I know they're
8 feet tall and a half a ton.
It's like I knew they were trying to go for an over-the-top wrestling video game, but they went way over the top.
All right, so we come back from that commercial, and I'm going to admit, I actually kind of liked these promos. I thought they were fairly well produced, especially by TNA standards.
Wait, which promos?
The first one is just a generic Sting promo that's meant to show him as a badass. And it just sort of briefly touches on his history with TNA and how he left when Immortal showed up. It was short. It just sort of covered who Sting is, in case you didn't know. And it was actually not a bad promo. It was generic as all hell, but it was not a bad promo. And we go straight from that to another promo. Also, surprisingly well produced. But this one is Angle, and it's recapping him, Jeff, and Karen, and how he doesn't get to see kids. And he actually explains why he attacked Jeff last week. TNA explained something.
What was his reason for attacking?
To provoke him into a match at Lockdown, where he could get him alone in the steel cage, and Karen couldn't interfere, and nor could anyone else.
You know,
But why would he have to even explain the reason why he? Oh, why did you attack Jeff Jarrett? Oh yeah, because I want to give him a match lockdown. There's no reason to explain. He's been beaten by Jeff Jarrett and humiliated and had to do all this other crap. So you already have a good reason for Kurt Angle just go in there and kick his ass.
But it explained the guitar last week, and I'll be honest, I liked that got explained. You know what? TNA doesn't explain things very often. Don't put them down when they do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put TNA down for explaining, even though it was pretty self-explanatory. But, you know, I give them props for trying. Oh, God, that was horrible. Ugh. That will be the only time you ever hear me compliment TNA.
Let's see. Then we go into, is anybody surprised by it? Another promo. This one is RVD and Hogan in the back, where Hogan is saying that RVD is the guy, and Hogan is rooting for him.
Wait, why is he working with Immortal? Didn't Immortal try to, like, I don't know, kill him?
Oh, he's not working for Immortal. Hogan's just saying that RVD is the one in the match that he's supporting. Because Immortal didn't have one of their own guys in the match right now, and he's trying to get RVD on his side.
So clearly, what they're going to do is trick RVD into joining Immortal, or coerce him into joining Immortal, because, well, let's face it, he's already forgotten how Immortal tried to murder him by rupturing several organs and making him bleed from his mouth.
And indeed, the moment RVD leaves the room, he gives this Kefka laugh. And calls RVD an idiot after he's left. Moving on. It's Jesus another promo.
Oh my God.
This is 4 in a row.
This is
get this over with.
This is where you broke, isn't it, War Machine?
Is this the Ric Flair promo?
Yes, it is.
Indeed, it is.
It is the one where I broke. Let's hear it.
Take it away.
Vegeta, what does the scouter say about his power level? It's over 9,000! What, 9,000?
Okay. So, here's what happens. Alright. Ric Flair is accompanied to the ring by Matt Hardy and Bully Ray, by far the most intimidating heel faction in wrestling today.
They're pretty terrifying.
The flabby-skinned wonder and possible penis licker, Matt Hardy, the grape eater, and Bully Ray, the racist. Quake in fear of these men, ladies and gentlemen.
You're forgetting some members. We tried to do this in the forum, and we forgot the same 3 that also needed to be added onto this group.
I am not including Roy Terry and Gunner and his pal. Screw them.
Don't forget that there's the TV champion in there.
The TV championship doesn't mean shit.
Let's move on. Flair says he usually likes to come out and steal the show. Speaking of coming out,
hi-oh.
But tonight he's going to pass... I forgot that he said this. But tonight he's going to pass the microphone to 2 of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time.
He said that?
Do I even need to explain all that is wrong with this team?
Holy shit.
If I may quote the man himself, wrong! Wrong!
Just...
And the sad part about this whole thing, Ric Flair was in a stable with 2 of the greatest 2 guys that were one of the greatest tag teams ever. You would think Ric Flair would know fucking tag team wrestling.
Let's move on. And he tells us to learn to love it because it's the best thing going today.
My brain and my balls hurt.
Hardy says it's a tragedy to see 4 talented guys like Fortune, that one time he and Bubba went down because it's a collision course of destruction. What is he talking about? The two of them changed the course of business 12 years ago. You're forgetting 2 people who helped you do that, and another 2 that you're not allowed to talk about them because they're in a better company.
He's going Super Saiyan. Run.
All they had to do was walk down the road of success and become celebrities. Celebrities! Celebrities! Ask anyone on the street who they are, and they will be able to tell you.
Breathe.
And
Just
millionaires.
breathe.
But
I'm
it
actually
was
scared to be on the show.
only a figment of their imagination. No way. Because the people above them shook their hands and smiled to their faces. That's what people want. But held a knife and stabbed them in the back. Oh yes, Matt, because you're so betrayed. You were handed so many things on a silver platter in WWE that obviously you're the victim here, not the people you jerked around for your entire second run in the WWE because you didn't feel special enough.
Everybody betray me.
I'm fed up with this world. And now he and Bubba are the ones with the knives, but they'll stab them in the front, cut their legs out, and make sure they don't achieve their hopes and aspirations. Good, because the exact same thing that happened to you should definitely do to 2 young guys who are new to the business. Okay. Bubba says that what he really wants to know is if AJ Styles is here. And of course, he isn't, because of those reasons. We all know this. The audience knows this. Bubba knows this. Matt knows this. Ric Flair knows this. Bruiser Brody knows this. He sent AJ a message and powerbombed him through the table to the concrete. And he did it because he can. That sounds like another really prominent wrestler right now who's been saying that a lot recently. I wonder who. He's been walking around with the chip on his shoulder for 20 years. No way. And nobody's knocked it off just yet because everyone's scared of him. My 5-year-old cousin isn't scared of you, Bully Ray, Bubba, brother, whatever the heck your name is. You've gone through so many name changes, P. Diddy looks at you and says, damn. He's going to give Fortune an offer they can't. I refuse to say that. The 4 of them against 3 of Fortune. Because that's even odds, you morons.
Oh, and the best part, there are three of us in the ring at the time. Oh, who's the 4th? Oh no, who's the 4th?
The 4 of them against the 3 of Fortune at Lockdown. Now let's see if they have the balls to answer the challenge. What's left of Fortune rushes to the ring, attacks Flair, Hardy, and Bubba. Everyone else spills out to the top floor while Rude beats up Flair in the ring. Rude chops the crap out of Flair in the corner. Flair does a flop, and Beer Money goes for the DWI on Flair.
Allow me to pause for a second and utter a sentence that has not been said in regard to him in years. Ric Flair did not blade. I was shocked.
And then this is where I broke. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe I need to preface my rage with a necessary amount of caution. If you have small children near you, or have queasy stomachs, or there's pregnant women near, turn this off or put it on mute and walk away for maybe the next hour or so. Abyss runs into the ring. What? Are you freaking kidding me? And you know what? You know what the worst part was? He got stabbed in the back with a board of blades. Blades! No, I'm sorry, nails. Because blading implies something. And you think that would rupture some major organs, perhaps do some very bad back damage that would keep him out for more than 2 months. 2 months. This man has been gone. 2 months. I have never seen such a poorly handled murder angle since Triple H got flipped over in the 4-door. And you know what the worst part is? They didn't even acknowledge the fact that he was murdered. Immortal left him for dead. Dead. They didn't even try to avenge him. They didn't care. He was expendable assets, and he had been expended. I don't think you realize what TNA does to my soul. Maybe you do now. Russo, if you're listening to this, I show an inordinate amount of restraint. When Matt has said he wants you dead, I've always said I wouldn't wish death on the man. Because he's stupid. Because, let's face it, Russo, you're an absolute moron. I don't know how you even got through school. If you did, I wouldn't be surprised if you flunked out of first grade. But basic storytelling, if it isn't obvious enough, isn't your strong point. And the fact that you're head writer of a show that has enough problems already with stories is a little unsettling. But to not even realize the red flag of not acknowledging the fact that this man has been gone for 2.5 months, was murdered on live TV, and then de-pushed the man who did it for no apparent reason, is a bad idea. It's probably not the best thing. But I'm sorry. Let's keep going.
Wow.
Huh. To move on from that, another plot point in this is they already stripped. If they're going to bring Abyss back, why did they already strip him of the TV title? I mean, you'd think like they murdered him, they'd wait for like 2 months. 2 months. That way they have an excuse for stripping him of the title.
And do I even need to go into the stupidity of stripping him of the title if he's just going to debut or re-debut 2 days later?
Ugh. I went over this when we were watching Impact. Of course, the whole clusterfuck that erupted at Genesis when AJ Styles was supposed to win the TV title and Abyss was the last-minute replacement when they were going to be taking him off TV. Why the fuck did they choose Abyss in the first place if they were just going to take him off TV 2 weeks later?
And why put him in a match?
They knew they were doing this angle. They knew he was going to be murdered. I get that AJ Styles could not compete at Genesis because of his knee injury. But you had... It was the debut night of Matt Hardy. I'm not saying Matt Hardy should have gotten the TV title, but wouldn't that have made more sense than fucking Abyss?
But at the same time, it's also wasting Doug Williams' time. Doug Williams is an amazing technical wrestler. So Abyss obviously is an awful choice for a replacement. But putting him in there with Matt Hardy, that's a colossal waste of his time.
You know,
it would have been better, though, than the waste of our time keeping the TV title off TV for 2 months.
Yeah. Let's move on before War Machine kills somebody.
The good news is that the next segment was actually a little bit entertaining. Hernandez coming out with Rosita, Sarita, and Lowrider from OVW.
Oh, fuck you. That wasn't entertaining.
No, wait. I actually kind of liked the promo. It was a little bit of a guilty pleasure, but I actually kind of liked this promo. Because they all start speaking awful Spanish and talking about how they're taking over. But most importantly, they start talking about how they took our gerbs.
Then it's also like we know they're trying to make a new version of LAX, but the problem is one of your prominent members of that awesome faction said fuck you and went to a better promotion where he was treated better. I mean Aguilar, who's the replacement that the Homicide's replacement in this? What was his name?
I don't think they said his name.
El Anarquia.
Yeah, fuck that. That guy will never be as good as Homicide or as interesting to watch. Hernandez, I like him, but God, this feud is stupid. This angle is stupid.
The problem is that they're this Mexican stable. They're claiming that they're all Mexican. Sarita and Rosita are Canadian. Hernandez is from Texas. Do you see the problem here? You have what the fuck did they call themselves? The Mexicans something or not?
Mexican America.
Mexican America. By the way, dumbass name. And I don't know anything about this new guy. I'm willing to bet he's not completely Mexican as well.
Oh, if you heard the Spanish that they were speaking, I don't speak the language myself, but it was awful.
Yeah,
I know that is not what Spanish sounds like.
Being a Southern California native, trust me, that was not good Spanish. Sid's right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting word that it's called the Mexican American Contingent.
Ah!
Yes. That's bad. That's just bad. So apparently, last week they challenged Matt Morgan to a street fight. And he comes out, and for no apparent reason, Devon is with him. Why?
God.
Isn't Devon supposed to be involved with the fight to the death with Bubba or something?
What the hell was this for? What connection does he have to Matt Morgan or Hernandez or any of these other fuckers? And you know what? This isn't even the worst of it. We'll get to what happens.
Oh, yes, we'll get to the worst of that.
So they start a street fight. And I emphasize that they start a street fight. And it immediately goes outside of the ring. And Devon and Matt Morgan have beaten Anarquia and Hernandez. But Sarita and Rosita decide to stop them from going any further. We need to take a step back, I'm sorry, because we missed something that was almost as entertaining as they took our jobs. During this promo where they're saying they're taking over everything, they gesture to the ceiling, and it takes several seconds. You can tell somebody screwed up in the stage crew. But then a Mexican flag descends over the ring. And this sucker is enormous. It just came from nowhere. Like Sting must have been stepping out of its way up in the rafters. So it's just there on screen. Okay. They never actually acknowledge it. They never say anything. It's just there. So we have back to the match, because they've now switched over to Sarita and Rosita stopping Devon and Matt Morgan from continuing beating their opponents. And to counter this awful threat, Velvet Sky comes down.
Because when I think street fights, I think Velvet Sky.
Why? Why is he there?
And we'll get to the worst part.
Oh, great. I hope you're happy.
know what? I predicted what was going to happen here. I predicted exactly what was going to happen in my Victory Road video. I said what was going to happen with this angle that they've been doing with Velvet Sky lately. And you know what? TNA never fails to piss me off.
Okay.
Wow.
So Velvet Sky comes out to save them and gets immediately beaten down. Just beaten down by Sarita and Rosita, and we then get a curious sight at the top of the ramp. Angelina Love comes strolling out very slowly.
She's doing her best
Almost
impression.
like a zombie.
She's doing her best impression of Jeff Hardy at Victory Road.
Oh, I did actually kind of think that she'd gotten into some pills in the back. That they're probably everywhere.
To do that angle, I would.
And she's coming down to help her beautiful people teammate. And at the top of the ramp again, we see Winter. And she goes, Angelina!
She's doing her best impression of Sindel.
I passed out, guys. What happened?
Oh, we're getting to the part with Zombie Angelina and Winter. Great. We're not even halfway through the show.
So
Backlash is passed out, and War Machine's become a homicidal maniac. I hope you're happy, TNA.
I need to explain what I'm talking about when I say that TNA proved me right. I said in my Victory Road video, for those of you who didn't see it, that what they were going to do with this Velvet Sky, Angelina Love, Winter thing was that they were going to turn Angelina Love and Winter heel when they clearly had the case to be the faces here. And what do? They turn Velvet heel, have her hypnotize Angelina so she can be absolved of the situation like it's an episode of frickin' Power Rangers. And then they have her become some sort of black mage who can control people with her witchy powers.
The only saving grace I could even fathom in this, like just to be a good conclusion to this angle or make this entire thing worth it, is that if Winter uses her powers to be like, Angelina, come over here. Here's some hot oil. Now rub this on me as we make out with our nude bodies. If they do that, this entire angle will have been worth it.
You want to know something?
You know that Winter has magic powers. She can appear in mirrors that are only visible to one person at a time.
I'm going to lose my mind.
You haven't already?
I wasn't talking to you.
Well, you're a negative Nancy tonight.
Oh my god, I hate the show.
Oh, man.
It's okay. Let it out, man. Let it out.
Oh god. And you want to know what the worst part was? I agreed to do this crap. I agreed to do TNA because you know what? I knew that people didn't want to do TNA. And the amount of people we have in Darkmatch that don't want to do TNA is freaking astounding. Because I think right now, this is about everyone who wants to do TNA. Almost everyone. There's a few I know I'm leaving out. Symphonian watched it twice. I only watched it once, and I'm ready to burn the Impact Zone to the floor.
My solution is to already be on the other side of madness. It's fun here.
I'm starting to see that. Oh, God, let's move on.
Oh,
What happened next?
we get back to the match, which had been entirely forgotten about for a solid 2 minutes. And, oh yeah, Hernandez and Anarchia are in a match. Oh yeah. And Anarchia hits Devon with a concealed weapon in a street fight.
With
Why did he bother with a concealed weapon? I don't know.
a concealed weapon.
Yes.
in a street fight.
Yes.
You know, I'm a patient man. It takes quite a lot to get under my skin. And if you can get me to start quoting Atlantis, you have a problem. But congratulations, TNA. You won the solid gold Cupid doll.
Alright.
Let's
So after
move on.
that,
We just keep going.
after that thing, there's the pin, match ends.
We cut to commercial, and wouldn't you know it, there's another match when we come back. There's wrestling. There's wrestling. Oh my God, there's wrestling.
Except, it's about to be spoiled for you. It's Inc. versus Scott Steiner and Crimson.
No!
My God.
Do you hate me? Is that what this is? Is that what this is, Russo? Why don't you just pour sugar in my gas tank, too? Why not? Let's take this an extra mile. Why don't I wake up in the morning, my tires are slashed, sugar's in my gas tank, and you just decided that you wanted to kidnap my dogs. You chopped all my trees down, you destroyed the garden, and you burned all my books. And then stepped on Ghostbusters.
Oh,
That
too far.
monster.
Too far.
Ugh.
This is what it feels like to me. This is a personal attack against my sanity. I can file assault charges.
Yes. So, I have a question, and it's sheer morbid curiosity. I have to ask, why are Scott Steiner and Crimson together? Is there a reason other than the fact that the main event Mafia reunion fell apart?
Nope.
The only thing
They're
I can think of
attacking
is...
now.
The
Deal
only
with
thing,
it.
I think it might just be that my mind has just degraded so much, but the only explanation I can come up with, herpa-derp, derpity-herp, herpy-derpy, herpa-herp.
I'll take his
That's
answer.
a Dixie quote, isn't it?
No,
might
Dixie,
be.
that had way too much personality to be Dixie.
Okay.
I honestly...
This match could have been a lot worse. It could have. It just could have. But it ends on a really shitty finisher from Crimson with precisely no impact. I think I believed I Fall Down from Madison Rain more than I believed this finisher. But
Well, we need a name for this move then. The I Throw You?
I'm bigger
How's
than you.
that?
That sounds too coherent.
Hmm.
I don't know. But so they can, after the match ends, they continue the ongoing storyline where Jesse Neal is being a good sport, shakes their hands after the match, and Shannon Moore is a douche.
And he grabs the chainmail coif that Steiner wears to the ring, wipes his ass with it, and throws it at Steiner.
Shannon Moore, there was a point where I thought you were, without a doubt, the best cruiserweight in the WWE, next to Jimmy Wang Yang. You do this. If you do this, if this is TNA, if this is what you're going to be, I've lost all hope. Execute Order 66. Get this over with.
I have really good news.
I just made a Revenge of the Sith reference. What is wrong with me?
Yes. But have no fear, the best moment of the night came during the commercial break. And I'm speaking of the Captain America trailer.
Yes.
Better than
Yes.
anything
Yes.
else at all the rest of the night. This was the best part.
That was
Yes.
awesome. Love that trailer.
It was an amazing trailer. I was already excited for Captain America before this. Now I wanted to wave an American flag while screaming the song from Team America.
Fuck yeah.
Precisely. I mean, I've never been that overly patriotic of a guy, but watching Captain America whoop ass in what appears to be a good movie is going to be awesome.
And the way that shield looked, how shiny it was, it was like everything I wanted to see a Captain America shield and him more.
Did
awesome.
anyone catch that little whenever you're ready, Mr. Stark line?
Yes.
Yes.
I
Yes.
when I saw it TNA the second time to make sure that I caught everything.
Mm-hmm.
I caught that. And I also realized how important this trailer was to me. Just how important that it was. There was something that, out of all of this, that I could just legitimately enjoy.
It was great. It just spoke to our childhood and just...
I
spoke to our
marked out during
childhood
this trailer.
and video.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now,
We have to get back to the show.
We have to?
Now, after Shannon wiped his butt with Steiner's head chainmail thing, it's main event time. And don't forget, Sting is our special guest outside enforcer referee man. And like all referees, he gets full entrance with music and a light show. Yes, this is real. It is happening. Granted, all special guest referees get that, so I don't hold it against Sting. But because it's TNA, I will go out of my way and say that Sting's theme in WCW was better. Let us move on.
Fair point. And the match starts. And honestly, I didn't really have any problems with most of this match. I
There's
actually
nothing
was kind of into it.
Well, they've done RVD and Anderson so many times by now. There was really nothing more that we haven't already seen. And
Nothing spectacular, but it was still a match that I could find something to. It was better than most of what they've had before.
It's like it's okay to have a series of match with the same opponents, but we know that Anderson and RVD do not do anything different from their other matches, and they don't make like, okay, we did this in this match, so we're going to do this differently to make it more exciting. They don't do that. That's why we don't care.
Right. And the twist in this match happens when RVD ducks a blow from Anderson, and Anderson knocks the referee out. He is gone. And then when Anderson goes for a pin, who should come in? It's Sting, because something happened, and he's in charge.
I will say this, Brian Hebner lasted longer than I thought he would in this.
And so, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have more to say?
No, I was just basically going to say, I thought, like, we were going to instantly start this match, and he was just going to, like, get clobbered in the first 10 seconds. He actually lasted for about half of the match. So, I will give the TNA that much, at least. They were that less shitty by that little bit of a percent.
So, then Anderson follows up with hitting the mic check onto the ring post. Tells Sting to count it. What does Sting do? Not his job. He refuses to count the pin. He refuses.
It's not a pin. He's trying to get a count out. He's trying to have Sting count out RVD because Anderson gets in the ring immediately after. So it's just the two of them.
Okay.
So he's trying to win in an even worse way.
So Sting refuses to count. Fair enough. Face. So Anderson nails him. They go punch for punch, pound for pound. Mike Tyson versus Muhammad Ali, and Sting wins that exchange. And the bell rings. There was no winner. For the third time in a row, there was no winner. There was no winner. You know, you can get away with it with Kurt Angle versus Jeff Hardy. because those were good matches. You can get away with it with those matches because those two people actually gave a crap.
When you go to a time limit draw, that's an acceptable finish. I'll give it.
Yes, it wasn't just because, one guy in this match is D-bag, so the ref doesn't want to help him. So then they go blow for blow, and so then he's like, you're disqualified now. You hit the ref, son. And then...
Correction, they make a point of this. Sting didn't call for the bell. A ghost calls for the bell. Nobody calls for this bell, but it rings anyway.
Well,
the Impact Zone is haunted. That explains everything.
Or maybe the timekeeper was just as sick of this shit as we were.
Because I checked. Sting didn't, because he was busy punching Anderson. And Brian Hebner was still unconscious in the ring. So nobody's calling for this bell.
Oh my God. When I started this show, I said I wasn't going to be that psycho, crazy, hating TNA guy, because that's not what I wanted to be. I didn't think that that's what this was going to become. I thought TNA was going to be LOL-worthy the entire time I was watching it. It hasn't been. It has been painful. Painful. I don't like you, Anderson. I don't like you, RVD. I don't like you, Sting. I don't like you, Matt Hardy. I don't like you, Bubba Ray. I don't like you, Hulk Hogan. I don't like you, Eric Bischoff. I hate you, Dixie Carter. I hate you, Russo. I hate you, TNA writing staff. Can you at least write something kind of funny? What do these people want from me? Do they want me to go crazy? Is that what this is about? Continue, please.
Okay. Wow. So Sting and Anderson are brawling, goes outside of the ring, and of course, security arrives, I don't know, a couple of minutes later. And it's not just security, it's all the road agents. And here's where we get Al Snow sighting number 1 for the evening. And they have to pull them apart a couple of times because, they're not good at keeping apart brawls. Ever. And we go to commercial with no idea and no explanation what happened with this match.
We get back from commercial.
Oh, dear God. Oh dear God.
We get back from commercial.
No.
And
close my eyes.
RVD is angry. And apparently RVD's angry and he's dizzy and he's saying all kinds of crazy stuff. And he doesn't remember what happened, even when the cameraman tries to remind him. Even when people try to remind him that his match already happened, he doesn't remember that he had a match.
Yeah.
This is
again. It's happening again.
Close your eyes and pretend you're watching AJ versus Joe. Just close your eyes and pretend you're watching AJ versus Joe.
Something that might make you a little happy. They kept reminding you that there is fun in the universe during this bit, because there's a roller coaster very loud in the background. By the way, that roller coaster, way more fun than watching Impact.
My eye actually just twitched. My eye actually twitched. And
it's the madness. It is.
Anyone else scared?
And Anderson is mad because he got DQ'd. Oh, and Sting's apparently afraid of him because he did his job. Frickin' referee. Sting doesn't know who rung the bell because it wasn't him. They made a point out of this that it wasn't him who rang the bell, and says Anderson can have a piece of him when he wants it. Anderson gets in his face, and Sting pleads his case. Hey, that rhymed. then punches Anderson, and a brawl breaks out. The Snow Kenny Collective rushes in to break it up, and they yell at each other to end the show.
Yes.
Thank you, God. It's over.
That was the end of this show.
Now,
That was the end of this show. They ended this show without a clear, decisive winner, without telling us what's going to happen. Isn't Lockdown going to happen in a week?
now, I hate coming to defend TNA, but during the RVD has a concussion sketch, which most of us blacked out due to rage, they actually do say that RVD is now the number one contender because Anderson was in fact DQ'd.
Bullshit.
That is going to be a three-way. You know it. That is a three-way in the making. It is going to be another cluster of three-ways at Lockdown. I hate that pay-per-view. I hate these people. Someone get me a tranquilizer now.
Working on it.
Allow me to make a suggestion. TNA won't take it up, but for some reason, my perverse self would get some entertainment out of it. I say, let RVD be the number one contender for the old TNA title. And then we get a double brain damage match at Lockdown between him and Eric Young for the old title. You know, the one RVD didn't actually lose.
Yeah, the one they could have... Oh, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
They could have a whole angle where they could fight over the belt. They could have easily just replaced with Jeff Hardy's awful-looking belt. But no, they bought a new belt. Why did they just take that belt?
I don't know. I just don't know.
At least the show's over with. It was a shitty ending, but the show was over, and we survived somewhat. We at least breathing.
And you know the sickest part. This was an above average Impact as far as Impact goes. It did this to us.
It had more and better wrestling than it has in at least a month. At least. At least when WWE has an all promo show, they're good promos. You have enjoyed yourself, or you at least acknowledge, hey, that should be good when I actually get to see that happen. With TNA, no. Just no. I'm going to refrain from rage. I'm going to take some crazy pills. And someone else pick this up for a second.
This was an above average Impact. Say it with me. Above average Impact. This wasn't the worst part. It's going to get worse from here. And the line must be drawn here. This far, no further. And I will make them pay for what they've done. Someone get me my phaser rifle. I need to shoot some Borg. Where's Anson Lynch when you need him?
I need my pills. I need booze. I need drugs of some sort.
Can someone get me my prescription, please?
Surprise interruption, you guys. The Borg would make a better wrestling program than TNA. Goodbye.
Who the hell was that guy?
Oh, hi, Revolver Man. TNA, you do things that would get most people thrown in jail for violating the Geneva Conventions. This is not wrestling. This is not entertainment. This is torture.
And the worst part is...
a masochist.
Go right ahead.
I am a masochist. I don't like this crap. I'm forced to watch this crap. I'm some sort of masochist. There has to be a textbook definition to this. This is not willing. This is...
I hate to harp on this. You're a masochist. I watched this crap twice.
And you know what?
And
hats off to you. You were clearly a better man than I. Because...
This was just simply beige. That's all I could say.
Oh, don't you give Spoonie any ideas. Because if this episode of Impact is the next beige, I will find you. I'll blame you for this.
Like I said, I'm not quite right. I don't think I'll ever be quite the same again. But that's how I've avoided actually being angry. No yelling, no shouting, just happy.
This is above average. Average!
You would think with the events of Victory Road, the next two impacts or the next impacts after that would be like, oh, we need to make up for that awful pay-per-view. Let's do some good stuff. But no. They just continue to get worse.
Symphonian, I would pay money just to live in your world for like 5 minutes and just experience TNA the way you do. Because
like I said, it's
it
a
sounds
place
wonderful.
Beyond pain, beyond fear, beyond trouble. All I can say, embrace the madness.
Well, I
Teach
think
us how to
this,
do it.
I think after this show, I'm getting there. I expect to be there probably after lockdown. By lockdown, I'm calling it. We'll all be there.
I don't know. I feel pretty great.
See?
I
Magpie sounds like he's well on his way.
I fear that... Don't you dare, Soul Hacker. I swear to God, if anyone catches wind of that, and you that to me, you will not live to see the light of day if that happens. Now, back to Impact. You got me so riled up. I popped every single blood vessel in my body. Do you understand what you're doing to me, TNA? Do you understand? Don't you ever broadcast in my home again, or I will chop you.
I think we are all significantly angered. How
Yeah,
about
this is no Leaf Clover here, and I'm just gonna make the suggestion that you guys wrap it up before War Machine kills all of us.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Yeah, let's wrap the show up with a round of everyone's favorite game. What gets more screen time than Jay Lethal?
Da-da-da-da.
I will start us off. Planted Signs got more screen time than Jay Lethal.
I'll go. What got more screen time than Jay Lethal? Al Snow and the Road Agents got more screen time than Jay Lethal.
Me next. What got more time than Jay Lethal? Incompetence.
This Abyss got more screen time than Jay Lethal. Abyss got more screen time than Jay Lethal because he was dead and now he's back, and they're not even going to reference the fact that he was considered dead. He was murdered on live TV. His spine was ruptured. He shouldn't be able to walk again. He got more screen time than Jay Lethal.
Somebody get the tranquilizers right now. Tranquilizers.
Okay, I think that's the end of our show. I am your
Quickly,
Foxy
load
friend,
the rifle.
Backlash.
This is Symphonian.
I'm Magpie.
I'm War Machine, and I'm loading my shotgun.
Dude, love's all you need. Calm down.
That's it. Good night, everybody. Run for your lives.
Get the tranquilizer.
I'll send the giant death robots.
Oh my God, best episode ever.
Ugh.
War Machine, you were the shit.
70 seconds.
Bullshit.
God.
I counted twice.
It felt longer.
Oh, hi, Jingus.
Of course the fucker comes on now. God damn it. Hell, Jingus.
I don't see him.
Oh, I'm getting this fucker in here.
Botchiest episode we ever did.
It's a good thing it's a TNA episode then.
Hello.
But I'm
Hey.
dead.
Okay, well,
On
I
our
haven't
worst
seen
day,
the
we're
show,
not-
so I
No,
haven't seen the show,
Jingus,
so I guess I'll just check out.
yeah. Just
Put your mic on.
Mute your mic, and we're gonna start over. I hit record, and that's gonna.
Also,
Yeah.
No Leaf. If you don't feel like editing this, if it turns out really bad, I don't mind editing it. If you need
I mean,
someone to edit
I'm gonna actually try to edit it this week. So.
it. Okay.
Okay.
Backlash,
Who
wanna
wants
do
to
the intro?
do the opening?
I think Backlash should do it.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Way to turn your back on me, tag partner. Why don't you go back to the gym and start working out?
Hey, one of us has to carry the weight in the matches.
Oh, so that's how
God
he's gonna.
damn it! Shut up and start the show.
And we're teasing another tag team breakup.
You guys are having a great night, huh? I guess I'll
Darkmatch
catch
has
you
just
later.
been rude-sewed.
Good night, guys.
Don't steal my catchphrases. You bastards.
Oh my God! Let's just start, please.